Hi, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about conditional statements in Python. In any programming language, whether that be Python or any other language, conditional statements are very important as there are times when certain codes has to be executed depending upon the circumstances. For example, in real life scenario, suppose you have to travel from your house to your university. You first measure the distance between your house and your university. Let's say it's a 5 minute walk from your house, then you definitely go walking. But it's longer than that, or maybe 20-30 minutes, then you'll probably catch a bus or use your own vehicle. So similarly, if you have to decide, and depending on the value of the variable or certain circumstances, you have to execute a certain block of code, then you use conditional statement. So we'll begin by showing you an example. Let's say there's a variable called score obtained, all right? And then we'll let the user enter the score, okay? So here's the score, then he may enter 70 or whatever. Then what you do is like the total marks. You also calculate the total marks, which is 100 for now. And then we calculate the percentage, right? Percentage is equals to 100 into score obtained divided by total marks. So there you go, you get the percentage. Now we say if percentage is greater than or equals to 50, then we can print you have passed the exam, right? So what is the result now? You have passed the exam because the user entered 70. Let me show you by using the file. So I'll open a file and here, and I'll execute that file. Here I've written similar commands, command block, and then I'll run this command so we can enter different value as a user, as an end user. Okay, so here, if the user enters like 45 below than 50, what happens? So, okay, let's say nothing happened, right? But if the user entered, let's say 66, what happened? Same thing, but congratulations, you passed the exam. But what if you want to show that if the result that user got was below 50, then you have to say, sorry, you failed the exam. So what you can do is like, you can pass another command. Let's say if percentage is greater than or equals to 50, then you can print you have passed the exam, right? Or else what you'll print is sorry, we failed. Or we can type a longer sentence. Okay, that's you have passed the exam. Suppose the same thing if score, I'll show you by another using another file. Okay, same thing. I'll use this one and I'll run it. Let me check. Okay, so what I'll do is like if the percentage is above 50, it will say congratulations, otherwise it will say sorry. Okay, so if user scored above 50, then it will say congratulations, otherwise what it'll do, it will say sorry. So you can let program decide depending upon the value in a variable. All right, so I hope you got the point on how the if statement works or the conditional statement works. So it's so simple. Say that's why it is called high level language, because it's more or less like an English language that we natural language that we humans use. So that's why it is called high level language. Now, what if you have multiple conditions or circumstances rather than just one or two? Then you can use something like elif or else if. For example, if you want to say, or if you want to show user that if the user obtains percentage above 80, then you want to print that excellent, or something similar. Or if the user only scores above 50, then he just passed the exam. Congratulations, you passed the exam. Right? And otherwise, in all other conditions, then sorry, you failed, or you failed the exam, you can say. So as you can see, so how it is showing the result at the moment without me entering the percentage, because it's getting the value from here. We enter the value here, we declare the variable, and the user entered the value here. So somewhere, let me check, maybe from the file that we executed. So yeah, here we executed that file. The score is here. That's why it showed that. Let me show the same thing from the file. Okay, so I'll show you from here. Uh, I'll run this file, and if user fails the exam, sorry, you failed, right? So if the user just passes the exam, like maybe 60 or something percentage, congratulations, right? And then if he gets something above 80, which is maybe 87, then excellent, outstanding percentage. So as you can see, you can use multiple circumstances to execute certain lines of code in Python. You can also use the comparison operators and logical operators that I showed you in the previous video with if. So if you have multiple circumstances and you want to execute certain code on the basis, if the condition is met, then only certain code needs to be executed, then you can say that using comparison operators or logical operators or both. Now I'll show you how to use if with conditional operator or logical operator using one simple sample code block. Okay, so I've written a simple code block that is an example of how we can use a login system to better understand how we can use if with logical operator, right? So here, this program, what it does is like it prints welcome to our sample app, then it asks the user for username and password, and if the user enters user 2021 as a username and test123 as a password, then it will print you have logged in. Otherwise, it will say, sorry, your username and password does not match our database. In real life scenario, we take this value from user text box, from user interface, and we match it with a database. But since we don't have that user interface built and we don't know how to build the database, so we'll just using a simple way to do it. Here, the thing you need to notice is that how we are using if with the logical operator, and I've created that video previously what and does. So if you use and, what it does is like these both conditions have to be met, right? If the user enters 20 or user 20 doesn't work. If the user enters user 2021 but he enters or she enters password maybe test or something else, then this condition is not met and this block of code will not get executed, rather this code will get executed. So let's see what happens. Okay, if the user enters something else, what will say? Sorry, right? If the user enters one correct value, what was that? User 2021, but he enters the wrong password, then it will still say sorry. If the I'll do another thing, like maybe user enters another username, false username, and the password is right, still sorry. So that means all the conditions must be met, right? Test 1 2 3. See, you have logged in. So this way we can use logical operators with if. If we had used or, then one of the condition need to be met, and then this block of code would get executed, right? Next, I'll show you other with if, how to use if with other conditional statements. But before that, I'll show you there's another one way that we can use if without using multiple lines of code. We can use one liner to do that. The same. Let's say percentage was something like, I'll just use without using the input. I'll use just the constant here. So at the moment the percentage is 60, right? Now the result will be passed if percentage is greater than 50, else failed. Simple. So how we do that is we use the value. If this condition is met, then this variable will have this value. Otherwise, this variable will have this value. Let's check. Okay, print, or just you can use result here. Passed. If the percentage was 20, then what will be the result? Failed. See, you can use one-liner as well. In some cases, you can also use the one-liner. So I've opened a file in Notepad that uses comparison operator and logical operators. We used this file in a previous video. So I'm going to show you using some of these operators. But we have already used some of these actually here in using when we're like checking the username and password. We used equals to this operator, and then we used greater than and equals to when you like checking the percentage, and when we are checking the username and password. But I'll use this one instead. This one, yeah. Let's say the percentage of the user was 45, but how I want to check is that instead of checking this one, I'll do in a opposite way. Let's say percentage is below 50, then you print failed. Otherwise, you'll print pass. So either way, that does the same thing, right? Failed. So if the percentage was 60 and we enter the same command, if percentage is below 50, print failed, or else print passed. So it does the same thing. We just did it in an opposite way. So you can use all these comparison and a logical operator with if, and you should try every one of them to know more about the Python condition statements and these operators. The more you practice, you'll get better at programming. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something today. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, and see you in the next video. Thank you.